What a fantastic reminder to never give up on a stone. Ladies and gentlemen, I am doing it. I am going to try my best to come back to this. So this is part of the Lightning Ridge material that I got sent from my secret miner, and this was that really crumbly stuff. But I'm coming back. I'm coming back strong. And you can see here, there's a lot of bar. So even though I was pretty demoralized when it came to this flaky area, and if I get it out of the water, you'll see here, that's what I'm talking about. These big flakes were just coming off left, right, and center, so all around the place. And here you can see that we're right onto the color, but all the way around, there's plenty of bar left to play with. And what I'm going to do, because of its tendency to just absolutely flake apart, we are going to take a bit of a different strategy. No sintered burrs for this one. One, because it's already exposed, and two, because of its instability and tendency to flake, which is a bit of a strange property for an opal. I'm going to go with Nova points. So if I zoom out just a bit, this is the strategy. So we're going to use one that I rarely use, but it's starting to grow on me a lot, especially for these types of opals where it tends to be a bit fragile. I think the 80 grit Nova point is really a star. So we're going to go with the 80 grit for all of the coarse cutting and shaping. Then of course we've got the 280 black, which is very worn down, 600 brown, 1200 grey, I'm just wetting them so you can see the colours, and the 3000. By the end of that, we should have something ready to be hit with the cerium oxide and get a nice polished finished stone with this beautiful combo. If we have a look at it a bit closer, it does have some pretty nice colour. It's a bit of a multicolour. There's a lot of green on the top, but we are going to lose that by going down to where those flakes kind of end. And yeah, we should end up with a decent stone if it doesn't continue to crumble. And I can't be certain that it's not going to. There's a lot of sand on the backing, and the backing is also very angular. You can see it just there. So that may also cause us a bit of an issue, but we'll see what we end up with. Whatever we end up with, that's it. That's how the cookie crumbled, and we're just going to tackle that crumbling cookie and hopefully keep it in one piece. All right, let's get into it and see how much of this color we can keep. We're going to have to get rid of these huge chip outs, and hopefully that center section doesn't completely flake off, though it might speed up the process if it does. We are going with the 60 grit, and you can see here that it doesn't look like it's doing too much, but in a minute I'll show you how quickly this thing can chew through opal. Definitely be scared of it. It's definitely not going to chip, much like the sintered diamond. The metal burrs are definitely much coarser, well, at least much more rough and rugged, but look how quick this thing will remove these little irony kind of inclusions. Just boom, gone. Almost just as fast as the 600, but with far less of the chipping. Almost no chipping that I noticed when I was using the 60 grit, though this is a pretty dangerous direction to be doing the edges from. I just really wanted to test it and see if anything else would flake off, and there's another little spot, and boom, gone immediately. I'll show you the safer direction in a minute, and I'll explain what that means when we get to it. But yeah, just going around, doing a little bit of shaping. I'm going to shape this after finishing the piece, or at least rubbing it all the way back and polishing it and seeing what it looks like underneath. Because at this point, I didn't know if it was going to fully just flake apart like the rest of it. I was in a pretty negative mindset getting into this stone. Since finishing it though, you'll see it was much better than anticipated. I was pleasantly surprised by what this stone did. And you can see here we're getting pretty close to getting through those chips, but still some massive gaps, massive unevenness, and we want to make this stone pretty even. This is a future cab, so we want to get it even straight from the get-go. And this is the safer direction. Because of the rotation of the burr, the direction, it's better if you're going from face to back than back to face. If you go back to face, you'll actually chip it, and if it does chip, it'll chip into the face rather than down the side of the opal. And it's far less of a chance of setting you back in terms of time. And then we're switching over to the 280 grit. This is it, just dry beforehand. You can see we've lost all of those massive flakes that have gone missing. We've lost a little bit of color as well, and we're running out of color bar. This is surprisingly thin in the end. I guess those chips went in a long way. So now we're just going to go with the 280. And you can see here I'm using the more risky kind of angle. But it's I'm not overly worried at this point. I tested it pretty hard with the 60. Every now and then there's one edge that I was a little bit scared of just here. So you can see I'm switching over to that safe direction again. Just in case it gives way. I thought it was a bit destabilized by the sand backing on that corner, so I was a bit careful about it, but nothing happened, so we're good. And you can see now I'm just working that face, making sure we're not trying to even it out or shape it at all anymore. The previous grit did a pretty good job at that. And then we're just doing a bit of a dry check, wet, just dry thumb over the top, and you want to make sure there's no scratches. We should just be seeing a fog. No scratches, no chips, nothing like that. Otherwise you're asking way too much of the Brown Nova. The 600, it can shape, but it's not the best. 1200, no chance. 3000, definitely no chance. And of course, finishing it up with the cerium oxide, that's going to do absolutely nothing to get rid of any chips. So you've got to get rid of it before the 600. Worst case scenario, you get rid of a tiny pit or two with the 600, but that's about it. Don't ask too much of these Nova points. They're good at one thing, and that's transitioning to a polish. You don't need to be shaping all the way up past the 280. The 60 does an incredibly good job. I'm really warming to that burr. It's a fantastic burr. And I think I might have to stock up on them because they will wear just as quick, if not quicker than the 280. And the 280 wears pretty quick. If anyone here has actually used them, you'll know that they wear much, much faster than the rest. Maybe, I don't know, 5-10 times faster. So yeah, and you can... One thing to notice with all of these Nova points compared to the cerium oxide, this isn't sped up footage. I'm moving those burrs pretty quickly when it's the resin points because that's the easiest way to get a nice flat, even surface. Whereas the cerium oxide, I am like a slow grandma. I'm just slowly just letting the cerium do its job, mixing with the water, keeping it nice and wet, keeping the cerium oxide on the face, not washing it off all the time. And yeah, it's a very different technique to the Nova points. But it's how it gets the best results. So we'll have a look at how it ended up. What a fantastic reminder to never give up on a stone. From a pile of absolute rubble, this managed to clean up pretty well. Now, it's not perfect, by far not perfect, but I'm just amazed that it managed to come out like this without chipping or flaking any further. You can see here where that little sand spot is. I'm going to have to cut that in. There's also a bit of directionality in the color over here, which is a bit unfortunate. Probably going to cut it in further and then decide on a shape from what's left. But it's a huge surprise to me and a really pleasant surprise at that. It's pretty green and blue front on, but at any kind of angle, it does tilt to those warmer orange and yellows, which is nice. It's a nice little stone, a little bit potchy, and the color is a little bit disparate, but it's nice. It's got some play. It's definitely not just complete rubbish like I thought it was when I first tried to cut this stone, and its brothers and sisters, which all just crumbled apart. But we managed to salvage just something out of it. Now, of course, once I finish the shaping, I could probably do it with the sintered diamond. This stuff that remains seems pretty stable. Then the only other thing that I've got to do is just take off the backing. A lot of that is pretty sandy, but it's there's enough opal there for a pretty solid backing. It's a little bit of a big stone for just a 3mm thick bit of opal. It gets pretty thin over here, but like I said, that's the area where we'll be cutting it off anyway, so that's not too bad. It'll still be a nice little solid stone. The color is really focused in this area just here. So there could be a really small cut triangle maybe. But you know what? After the absolute demoralization the first time I tackled this stone, this is a huge turnaround, and yeah, I really shouldn't have given up on the stone that soon. I was just, yeah, it was a bad mindset to have. You should never get too down and really have a good crack at each opal. Especially us hobby cutters. We've got the time to sink into it. We're not pressured to cut perfect gems and sell them on. We really just should try to get the most out of every stone that comes across our desk. And I didn't do that with this the first time, and it's quite disappointing. But I'm trying to make amends and picked it back up, had a look, and look at that. Look at that. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. So yeah, a very good reminder to myself and anyone watching that you really shouldn't give up on a stone until it's absolutely done. Until you can be 100% certain that it's all over, you've got to have a little bit of faith and a little bit of hope. And you never know, it might just surprise you. So on that note, I'm gonna move on to the next stone, and hopefully it surprises me just as well as this one, if not better. Quite happy and surprised this ended on a positive note. So I'll see you in the next one.